Our technical people ready for us to go?
He's got a thumbs up back there,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, so we're good to go.
All right.
Good morning. We're about to begin the July 16, 2025 regular meeting of the Harris Central Appraisal District's Board of Directors. Members of the public wishing to address the board should have completed the sign-in sheet at the back of the room. You will be called upon to speak in the order that you signed in. When you begin, please state your name. Please note there will be 2 opportunities for public comments at this meeting. The first will be the general public comments on general matters. The second opportunity will be for public comments will be during the board's public hearing on the proposed 2026 budget. Mr. Chairman, you may call the meeting to order.
Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jim Robinson. I'm the chairman of the board, and I hereby call the July 26, 2025 regular meeting of the Harris Central Appraisal District Board to order. The time is now 9:34. And before we proceed further, we're going to pause just for a moment out of respect to those who lost their lives and are still missing in the flooding throughout Central Texas. All right, well, we'll go ahead and proceed now. Kind of out of order, but today's meeting is a special event, really, for HCAD. It's the first session of the HCAD Board of Directors ever to be live streamed, and I'm not sure whether or not we're the first appraisal district in Texas to live stream a board meeting. I know there's not, even nationwide, there are very few that do that. But in any event, this change highlights, to me, the progress that HCAD has made in providing information access to the public. For example, today, property owners take for granted that HCAD and really all other Texas appraisal districts offer access to the appraisal records. But really, this has not always been the case. In fact, you don't have to go back too many years to the day that HCAD became the very first property tax appraisal entity in the entire United States to put the appraisal records on the internet. When we did that, I was chief appraiser at the time, and I actually got a pushback from several jurisdictions who argued that internet access would let people find and protest our errors. And my response then, and it remains the district's position today, that if we have errors, we will fix them. We'll now move to the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. And Ms. Dixon, would you please do the honors for that?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
All right, we now will have the roll call. Cassandra Ozine Bandy.
Present.
Kathy Bluford Daniels. Martina Lamont Dixon.
Present.
Erica McCrutchen.
Present.
Melissa Noriega.
Present.
Annette Ramirez.
Present.
Kyle Scott. Mike Sullivan.
Here.
And myself, Jim Robinson, present. We do have a quorum present. At this point, I'm going to introduce a very special guest. We have Senator Betancourt, who has had a long association with this district, including serving many years as a member of the board of directors, is with us this morning. And Paul, I'm going to call on you for any kind of comments that you would like to make before we begin the awards.
Well, thank you. Mr. Chairman, and is this where we get to roast Roland, or?
Well, absolutely, he needs roasting, so.
Well, thank you. And Jim, you brought back a memory that Annette, you'll be happy to know that the Harris County Tax Office was the first tax office that took online payments in Texas, and the largest at the time in the country. But we had a way stop where Jim had already put, as the chief appraiser, Roland, you remember this because I think you were the tax payer liaison.
Tax liaison officer.
Right. And Roland was the one that was taking all the complaints once the appraisal roll went up, Mike, long ago. And so I, as a newly elected tax assessor, asked Chairman Jim, but then Chief Appraiser Jim, if I could put the tax roll, Melissa, on the website. And he thought it was a great idea, okay? And so we were also not only the first in the country to put up the appraisal roll, we also were the first to put up the tax roll, okay? Until the amount of complaints became overwhelming. No. And Jim volunteered that I should be, after a year in office, capable of running our own website, which we were at the time. And Jim knows that the office that I inherited, and I guess, Teresa, you were around back then as well. I think Jason was too young. He wasn't even there when I got elected tax assessor. Was so antiquated that we had no job descriptions, work instructions, organizational charts. There were no PCs except the ones that were in there without the approval of management. We had a COBOL system that was like Sanskrit that ran the tax code. And the beginning of a very good relationship between the tax office and the appraisal district started with the fact that Chairman, then Chief Appraiser, and ably assisted, because you became the deputy, I believe, very shortly thereafter. And we've had quite a collaboration since then. So when I heard that Roland was attempting to retire, okay, I realized that it was time for an official proclamation by the state of Texas. Okay?
Wow.
All right. Now, I have two versions. I have the roast Roland version and the really serious one. Well, we'll do the serious one. That's right. I would never put that in print, the other stuff in print. But Roland, there's a series of whereases. I'm not going to read everything, okay? But I do want to go over the fact that by the time I got there, okay, and this was in 1998, you'd already been working here for 10 years, okay? So I missed the first decade, which I understand was his most productive. No, I'm just, and importantly, you really held every role here that you can have before you became chief appraiser. But what I'm here today really to talk about too is the tremendous effect that Roland has had, like Jim when he was in the job, on legislation and really what's happening with the appraisal entire community of appraisal districts in the state of Texas and nationally, because it's that leadership that we don't get to talk about very much, because this is stuff that happens when, Teresa, what happened? Let's see. I was given a nice envelope that said, here's 3 more bills that you need to work on when I walked in here this morning. But it's that ability to see the problems and fix them that has made Roland a valuable help to everyone in the legislature. Jim and I both go back to a period of time when hurricanes were common, and we spent almost all of 2005 and years after that doing disaster recovery to the point where it was people weren't sure if they were talking to Paul Robinson or Jim Betancourt. Okay, but that was the ability for both offices when we were flooded out downtown, Nanette, that we put all my people in the field, because, as a county employee, if you're not working, you don't get paid. Okay, we just can't stay home on vacation because it's been bad out there, Erica. Okay, so Jim literally helped us organize teams of people that we walked through Kingwood, measured how high the water levels were on every home. And it was really up to Roland to keep my staff from falling off the wagon, going to the wrong county, okay? But more importantly, making sure that our input was valuable for the district's work. And that is something that that between the emergency management side, the building that we're in today, Jim and I were there, but Roland obviously helped us on a refinancing, if I remember correctly, and other points in the past. But Roland has really been not just a HCAD guy. He's not just a Texas guy. He's really been a national leader on appraisal districts. So let me read the last whereas, Roland, in all seriousness. And the fact that, I hate to say it, but Jim and I know that 37 years can go by like that, okay? And I've only been here for 27 with you. But you made me welcome the first day that I showed up as a brand spanking new elected tax assessor collector like Annette was, okay? And I will never forget that. So, whereas the skill, professionalism, and commitment to excellence demonstrated by Roland Altinger have made him an important asset to the Harris County Appraisal District and the state of Texas, and may he reflect with pride on his individual accomplishments, knowing that he was rendered invaluable service to his colleagues and fellow citizens. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Roland Altinger be commended for his exemplary 37-year career with the Harris County Appraisal District, and he embark on sincere best wishes for his continued success and happiness as he embarks on a well-deserved retirement. And with that, I want to hand this to you, Roland, and congratulate you for a job well done and continuing to be well done, because I gather you're here for another half a year. Here, we'll do a official picture with everybody standing in the background. Don't sit down yet. Elizabeth, you're supposed to be over here with the other paparazzi.
I don't want to get in the official photo.
Wow, I'm honored. I appreciate that.
Thanks. You want to do rebuttal? That's right. Well, the other whereases just stated the facts. Mine were the emotional side.
Now, I've got to do some things, and I hope you stick around and hear my budget.
What's that?
I hope you stick around for a few minutes so you can hear my budget.
I hear nothing, nothing. I've already had to pass a trillion dollar budget. I'm not sure we got anything left for you. That's right.
Well, I'll tell you this. We have worked on at least 12 to 15 good initiatives for the state of Texas.
Sure.
And you have helped forge them through the finish line. And we have done one with both parties too.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate you. And like I said earlier, we got two more assignments for you, which we gave you
Yeah,
earlier.
right, what you gave me. And the good news is nothing passes on appraisal reform without bipartisan votes up in
That's
Austin
right.
anyway.
All right.
All right,
Thank you, sir.
give him a big hand. One last big hand. All right.
And Paul, again, thank you very much for being here, and I certainly appreciate the work that we've been able to do together for a long, long time. And I think Texas has probably the best property tax system in America because of the work that has come out of Harris County. And we appreciate you very much. All right, at this point, we will recognize Mr. Altinger. He's going to recognize our summer interns.
All right. Good morning. And if I'm shaking, please forgive me. That was a shock, and I appreciate the Senator being here today. But I'd like to take a moment and recognize another group of special people with us today, our 2025 summer intern class. This is a tradition we started in 2017, giving young talent a taste of public service and property tax administration in particular. 10 of our prior interns later joined us to become full-time employees. Think about it. One of this year's interns may one day be running the organization down the road. After all, our 10 interns were selected from a highly qualified pool of over 350 applicants. They are attending the University of Houston, University of Oklahoma, University of Texas, and yes, Texas A&M. San Jacinto College, Rice University, Northwestern University, studying various disciplines in business, IT, political science, economics, accounting, government, criminal justice, and electrical engineering. Please stand as I read your name. Arbor Noor, Charles Beck, Emma Venegas, Hong Si, Carla Gonzalez, Madeline Hawkins, Noah Harrison, Rishi Kaduri, Vanessa Duque, and Wilburn Guzman. Thank you for serving with us this summer, and let's give them a round of applause.
All right, we'll move next to,
Service awards and employees.
yes, we're going to move now to the service awards and recognition of both those and employees of the month. And I'm going to ask Director Ozine Bandy if you would join Roland for those presentations.
All right, our first service award recipient joined us a decade ago. She was born in Houston, went to Forest Brook High School, attended Texas School of Business where she got a medical assistant certificate. Without experience, landing a job in the medical field was a challenge. She fearlessly switched gears and went to work as a correctional officer in an all-male facility. A former classmate introduced her to HCAD employee Clarette Walker, who told her about the district. Began as an admin tech in INA, Information and Assistance, now an admin tech specialist 5 in problem resolution. She's been married 13 years, 5 children, including one that's a leukemia survivor. She enjoys crafting, Texans football, and time with her family. Where's Tamika Bonner? All right, our second service award recipient joined us also 10 years ago. A native Houstonian, oldest of 6, went to Nimitz High School, earned an associate's in arts from the Lone Star College and a bachelor's in psychology from the University of Houston. Worked at the University of Houston as a transfer credit specialist until HCAD Clarette Walker told her about HCAD. Miss Clarette Walker, you're 2 for 2 today. Began as an admin tech in commercial, now an admin tech 2 there. She enjoys cooking, arts, and crafts, making custom baskets. She's a member of HCAD's Employee Benefits Committee. She creates the decorative baskets that we use for the EBC fundraising efforts. Where's Lamika Walker? All right, our next recipient made his debut 3 months ahead of schedule. He was born 2 pounds 3 ounces in Bloomington, Indiana, went to North Central High School, attended Indiana Wesleyan University, and got a BBA. He continued on to go to Texas A&M to get an MBA. Before HCAD, he worked 10 years in the banking industry, briefly in the fee appraisal work business with Craig Julian, who spoke about HCAD. He joined us 20 years ago as an appraiser trainee, worked up to Evaluation Analyst 5. His email signature reads like a professional alphabet soup. AAS, RES, RPA, CTA, CFE. Every letter earned with dedication. He's been married for 15 years, together for 25, and believes agreeing with his wife has been his key to longevity. enjoys traveling and rescuing Shar-Pei dogs. Where's Clayton Rogers?
Thank you.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Now I want to ask a 20-year recipient, Byron Stanley, to come up to be recognized. All right, now we'll recognize our 4 employees of the month. Our first employee of the month moved to Houston shortly after high school, found work in customer service for 11 years, later served as an assistant manager of a restaurant wholesale supply company. She developed an interest in real estate after purchasing her first home. She got a real estate license from Houston Community College. A Google online search led her to HCAD. She was hired as a temp, now coordinator in ARB. Recognized today for her exceptional teamwork, production quality, dependability. Nomination states she's highly motivated, steps up without being asked, sets out to succeed no matter what the task, and has a strong work ethic. She's been married for married, and she's got 3 children. She enjoys knitting, reading, and cooking. Where is Daisy Bolton Sanchez? All right, our second employee of the month is a military brat. Born in Augusta, Georgia. Dad was an Army man and Mom was a Marine. I wonder who the disciplinary was. Went to high school in Bamberg, Germany. Earned a BS in history from Liberty University. Traveled the world and landed in Houston. Before HCAD, worked in management, contracting, and in oil and gas industry. Found HCAD through his father-in-law. He's an appraiser too in residential. Nomination states he's respected by his peers and management for his integrity, work ethic, and leadership ability. Delivers accurate information during high-priority requests, takes the initiative, leads with professionalism, and clearly communicates updates to appraisers. He ensures information provided to property owners is accurate and relevant. Been married for 21 years, 2 children, 3 in heaven. Enjoys building furniture with crepe myrtle wood, painting miniatures, and video games with his kids. Where's Garrett Chambers? All right, our next recipient recently celebrated 20 years of service at HCAD. Today, she's Employee of the Month, a native Houstonian, grew up alongside 4 sisters and 1 brother, attended Jeff Davis High School, studied political science at Lamar University. Before HCAD, she worked in education as a data entry clerk for HISD until a friend told her about HCAD. No, it wasn't you, Miss Walker. Today, she works as a GIS Specialist 3 in IT, doing a fantastic job, commended for her dependability, efficiency, and teamwork. She shares her experience and institutional knowledge to improve the processes. Her key contributions include revising GIS data to enhance readability. She teaches meets and bounds courses, trains new team members, consistently embodies HCAD's core values in an impactful way. She has a 12-year-old daughter who's a straight-A student. She enjoys reading, running, and traveling. Adela Jacinto. Congratulations. Okay, our final employee of the month is a native Houstonian, oldest of 2, went to Alief Taylor High School, attended the University of Houston, got a bachelor's in economics and minored in French, and studied abroad in Paris. Considered taking a break from school to gain work experience, visited a career fair, and met Kahari Small, and the rest is history. She's a valuation analyst in commercial. She's cited for her dedication, reliability, work ethic. She's a standout among analysts, known for attention to detail and commitment to quality, consistently goes above and beyond, produces accurate, thorough, and timely work, is an invaluable asset to the team. has a balanced list of hobbies: drinking coffee, which she started at 2, reading, fitness, and watching crime dramas. She's one of the 83 of HCAD employees who plans to retire at HCAD if all goes well. Anyhow, Adriana Palencia. Yeah, you're a little wounded last time.
I was. Thank you.
Go to the front.
We'll move now to the point in the meeting that we take comments from members of the public who have signed up to speak on matters of general interest. I would note for those of you that plan to speak that there will be an opportunity later in the meeting for public comment specifically regarding the proposed 2026 budget, and those comments should be made during the public hearing. And we have basically, I think we have 2 people signed up this morning. First, we'll call Alexi Swersey. Yes, ma'am. If you would please come up to the microphone.
What she has to say is for the budget.
Oh, you're going to speak on the budget? All right, good. We'll just wait till then. All right, next, Melissa Powell. Or Rowell, rather. I'm sorry, Ms. Rowell.
Hey, Senator. Did you all get a handout? Oh, it's coming.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and board members. I'm Melissa Rowell, and I'd like to make 3 points today. One's on digital communication and cost efficiency. Second is improving first call resolution and customer service here at HCAD. And the third is general budget transparency and accountability. First of all, I noticed that HCAD is spending over $3 million per year on postage and mailings. Could HCAD explore a system where property owners can opt in to receive notices electronically? And that may save on some postage. This could significantly reduce long-term costs and improve communication efficiency. Second is improving first call resolution and customer service. I recently called HCAD's call center and was directed to the tax office, which ended up answering my question. However, the question was actually an HCAD issue, not a tax office issue. But luckily, the tax office told me that they're trained to answer questions because they get questions from y'all all the time. So they were able to help me. But HCAD should ensure that the call center staff are properly trained to answer questions accurately or escalate appropriately so that residents aren't bounced around, which is what happened to me. It's critical that property owners get reliable first call resolution when contacting HCAD. Lastly, general budget and transparency and accountability. I'm here to better understand how HCAD is prioritizing spending and improving services to taxpayers. With rising property values and concerns from homeowners, every dollar should reflect efficiency, transparency, and accountability to the public. And lastly, for Mr. Altinger, best wishes on your upcoming retirement.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Rowell. Let the record show that Director Kathy Bluford Daniels has arrived. And that completes the...
If I could I make a...
Certainly, Paul.
I just wanted to add on something from Melissa. Melissa, you'll be happy to know that we passed House Bill 1533, and it does exactly that starting next year, that property owners can take their information electronically. So, and that's just by working with everyone, up at the legislature. So, the good news is Clarette, you may be 2 for 2, but I'm 1 for 1 on complaints right here. Okay, that's right. So anyway, so that's going to be something new. Nice to see you, Kathy, too. All right.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much again. We'll now have committee reports, and first we will ask for the report on the evaluation committee. Ms. McCutcheon.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I just want to say thank you to all the committee meetings who worked so hard to come up with a great evaluation process. And also to Roland, congratulations on your upcoming retirement. Just for a review of the meetings, the board has met and have had 3 meetings, and in the process of those meetings, we have worked very diligently to make sure that we have a good succession plan. We worked on the job descriptions, updating all of those, and making sure that this information is put out in a timely manner. We also worked with making sure that we have the announcements go out, a public announcement to be made. We also compile all that information, and we have information we present to the board so that we can vote on that, so that we can get a good job description out for the filling of the upcoming position, Roland's position, chief appraiser, and to make sure that all of it is done accurately, and we hope to get that posted pretty soon.
Thank you, Erica. The other committee to meet was Budget and Finance, and the chair has an excused absence today. Is someone here going to make his report? All right, so there's no report from the Budget and Finance Committee today.
Ms. Noriega.
Ms. Noriega.
I don't have a prepared report, but just real quickly, there were mainly 4 things that we did.
Okay, thank you.
We looked at requests for additional personnel with very detailed information about why folks are requesting more information. We discussed the process of borrowing positions and how that works and whether or not we want to look at that a little differently. The committee, which was a Zoom meeting because mostly I think people being on vacation, it was Director Sullivan, Director Scott, and myself. We asked for a snapshot of all the reserve funds, whatever they're called, the official, unofficial investments, reserves, and what we have. And then we want to look at our the levy or the contribution that our entities give to us and what that looks like. There may have been some other points, but I thought those were the 4 main points. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And that, interestingly, brings us to the 1,000-pound gorilla in the room, which is a discussion or a layout of the Chief Appraiser's proposed 2026 budget. I would note that the tax code specifically requires the Chief Appraiser to annually lay out a budget that he or she believes is the amount necessary for an appraisal district to do the work that the tax code has assigned to it. We've had some questions from board members. Well, should the board, at the point that budget is laid out, should the board not, let's say you have a member that's not pleased with the amount, direct the chief appraiser to make reductions, but that's not something that's done at the point when the chief appraiser lays it out. The law is very explicit that the chief appraiser tells us as the board what he thinks that he needs, that the district needs, and then it's up to the board after it hears that presentation to make a decision as to are there any cuts that we think that we could make. And certainly all of that will be very carefully considered. And there'll be no vote today by the board on the budget. We'll be voting at the August meeting, which gives board members time to ask additional questions, to think about different ideas that may be proposed today, and then the final decision on what that 2026 budget should be will be reached in August. With that, though, Roland, I'll call on you to lay out your proposal for 2026.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Do you want to pull that up, Teresa? All right. Good morning, Chairman, directors, tax assessors, members of the public, and our great HCAD team members with us today. First, I need to thank Tracy Dang, Teresa Paul, Pete Barbaro for helping with this presentation. Next, I want to give a hearty thanks to Budget Committee Chair Scott and committee members for digging into the details, asking the tough questions, causing us to re-examine our budget processes, helping us unearth some startling financial realities. Next slide. Serving over 600 taxing units, which provide essential services for the common welfare, such as police, fire, water, port, hospital, schools, with taxes imposed after public hearing, comment, and due process, HCAD makes all that possible. Taxing units rely on our professional and timely certified roles. 5 million people in our district rely on us for a universe of support mandated and regulated by law. Next slide, please. To budget, we need to consider the economics involved. This slide digests 10 years of Texas Comptroller's annual comprehensive financial reports. Not a flash in the pan. A period which saw the tax code grow 22%, topping 400 pages. Consider all mandated functions. Discover, list, and appraise. Certified, defend, exempt, and correct. Calls, emails, PIA request, maintaining and securing data. After all is said and done, the cost to the public is only 3/4 of a cent per tax revenue dollar raised for essential services. Let me say that again. Taxing units and the public get all our services consistently audited by the comptroller and found to be nearly perfect mass appraisal, 10-year average 99%. Taxing units get to keep 99.25 cents of every tax dollar. We're doing all of this for practically nothing. Not your usual governmental agency. These production volumes are unheard of. Just last week, we received an unsolicited kudos email from Kevin Seat, Deputy Director for Harris County Budget Office. His email said, our handling of litigation and exemptions this year helped the county with its budget tremendously. Next slide, please. Tax Code Section 6.06D provides each taxing unit participating in the district pays its pro rata share of the budget that its levy bears to the total levy. My proposed 2026 budget of $118.8 million reported a 6.69% increase. Next slide, please. Dig deeper and you find that 6.69% includes $3.5 million staff expenses approved by you, the board, last year. These prior commitments continue year to year. To find truly new requests, $7.5 million minus $3.5 million equals $4 million increase. Saying in another way, without even a cent, increase investments for new initiatives or efficiencies, the budget grows 3.14%, 6.69% minus 3.55%. Next slide, please. 3.55% increase may still sound high to you. Dig even deeper and you find to determine what's really available for district operations, deduct conservative estimates of cost for unfunded legislative mandates. $1 million for Senate Bill 2 elections, plus at least $725,000 to implement 50-plus new statutes, including programming and staff to administer House Bill 9, a new business industrial personal property exemption, and Senate Bill 850, accelerating litigation processing, which will probably require running 2 rolls a month, not 1. After these items, the real increased funding for operations is 2%. Next slide, please. Being the biggest CAD, we have the most work. You've received our executive staffing presentations and reports. Great job, team. At last week's committee meeting, Director Noriego said, quote, "The workloads here are staggering." The committee agreed. We need the added positions to increase production and decrease overtime and burnout. Protests are at an all-time record in my entire career at HCAD, 550,000, driven by agent firms comprising 80% of the accounts, which is driven by their business model, not by population. In blue font are external forces, driving workload volumes requiring the highest possible efficiencies. Below in purple are ways we can increase output. Staff size generally, professional services, concerning litigation, plus efficiencies through technologies. Percentages are conservative approximations of year-over-year increases. There's a lot of talk around population and inflation as being a good benchmark. Yes, population and inflation play a part. This slide shows you other service demands involved. Litigation increasing 14%, protest increasing 10%, calls increasing 9%. Next slide, please. Inflation is easily misunderstood. Many people look at inflation at a static fixed number. It is not. Inflation is incremental. Inflation rates on this slide are officially reported by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Inflation erodes buying power, compounded more and more year upon year. Since 2021, inflation has grown each year, an average of 5.18%. An annual inflation tax, what cost 83 cents in 2021, cost $1 today. Also consider, in 2022, inflation reported for the past year, 2021, was 8.54%. In 2022, the board approved a 6% COLA to take effect 2023. Right there, an 18-month lag in purchasing power. COLAs are always more than a year behind. Staffing and benefit costs make up 70% of any budget. This year is no different. As a result of our strong commitment to keep costs down for taxing units and property owners, even should you approve a 3% COLA for 2026, district wages will still fall behind inflation, $3.78 for each $100 purchased. Without that COLA, staff pay deficit equals $7.19 per 100. Like last year, the COLA, if approved, will be distributed at a higher percent to lower wage levels, since inflation is in effect a regressive tax. Every month, as we did today, we recognize staff dedication and longevity of service. Team members in this room have served our community 10, 20, 30 plus years. The average tenure at the district is currently 11 years. They have all experienced an average over 5% erosion of purchasing power each of these last 4 years. 5.18% inflation plus 2.16 population growth equals 7.34%. That's your actual impact. Yes, we need to add positions, but also work hard to provide living wages, plus find recruitment and development. Director Noriega called a critical investment in talent. Next slide, please. I want to personally thank Director Sullivan for specifically requesting this data for the top 10 Texas appraisal districts. Here you see HCAD's 3-year average budget increase equals 7.59%. Though we're the biggest of them all, we're the largest workloads by far, our increase is less than all the others, averaging 11.26%. We're the most conservative and efficient of the top 10, with costs below the industry standard, even before considering we're requesting only 2% for new operational efficiencies. Now for the nuts and bolts. Next slide, please. The top 2 rows list proposed funding for staffing, basically 70% of the total. Third and fourth rows in the brown font list increases proposed concerning litigation and technology. Next slide, please. The top half of this slide is total salaries and wages, HCAD staff and ARB. The bottom half drills down into HCAD components. Increase in salary and wages is due to, number 1, adjustments to salary to address inflation, plus align pay with marketplace, and also due to, number 2, adding 24 FTEs, full-time employees, including 3 set aside by the board for the TLO functions, to decrease overtime and routine fatigue and increase productivity and service quality. Next slide, please. Increase headcount to meet demands, plus pay adjustments to attract and retain quality staff, increases benefit cost accordingly. Next slide. Arbitration cases have topped 10,000 in the last couple years. A major contributing factor is the explosion in top-line settlements, currently at 199,000 accounts. While helpful in speeding up certification by avoiding ARB hearings, top-line permits owner consultants to later appeal in district court, SOA, and arbitration. Review Appraisal Group has done great work keeping arbitration losses down, as shown in the graph on the right, under $30 a case. Next slide, please. Cases and accounts in litigation are climbing and involve significant dollars. Currently, $159 billion for 2024. Once again, we see the impact of top-line settlements. With over 80% of accounts represented by professional tax consultant, we reasonably expect litigation to continue to climb. Next slide, please. Climbing litigation volumes drive plans to increase professional services. Additional funding allocated under legal services to outside counsel are offset by postponing countywide street-level imaging available through Cyclomedia, a $460,000 reduction. Next slide, please. The normal business model in the tech industry has moved away from software sale to software subscription. Rows in the brown font reflect that trend. Licenses with providers such as Microsoft Enterprise, Altair, AutoServer, TrueRoll, VMware permit the district to automate role validation, automate exemption processing, and increase processing power. Efficiencies essential to meet production demands at our scale, plus critical software products include firewall, phone system, and Workday. Next slide. The modest increase in office space utilities is attributed to increased insurance costs. Coverages include cybersecurity, property, general liability, errors and omissions, and motor vehicle. Next slide, please. Office and field operations increases primarily in online subscriptions, including CoStar at $245,000, TREP at $105,000, apartment data at $45,000. Next slide. We don't anticipate any changes in capital purchases. Next slide. This recaps this year's major drivers: increasing staffing, professional services for litigation, and software costs. Next slide. This summarizes our financial condition. Auditors strongly recommend holding equivalent of 3 months' operating expenses in the reserve account as a safety net to address the unforeseen. We're currently a bit over 50% of that target. Unless directed otherwise, we will continue to work toward that goal. Our major repairs and insurance funds are in good shape. I believe this budget, representing a gross increase of 6.69%, which includes only 2% towards improving operation efficiencies, after prior commitments and unfunded mandates are deducted, all deliver for 3/4 cent per tax dollar raised for essential services, is prudent and justified, especially facing wages lagging behind inflation averaging 5% each of the last 4 years, representing a 7.34% effective impact of population and inflation, increasing workloads, rising cost of essential software, IT infrastructure, and data security for HCAD to continue to professionally and timely serve 5 million people in Harris County and 20% of the value of the entire state. At this point, I'd be glad to address any questions.
Right. The way I'd like to handle this, members, is I'd like to give every board member an opportunity to ask questions or make any comments that you want to make, and to do that in an orderly fashion. In a minute, I'm going to call on, we'll just work down the table with doing this. We'll begin with Ms. Bluford Daniels, but I want to ask Roland one question at the beginning and make an observation. Of course, from 1985 through 2013, it was my responsibility to come up with a proposed budget and then to administer. I was gone after early 2013, but still had laid out that budget. And in 1985, I wasn't here in 1984 when the board adopted a budget, but the taxing units had vetoed it, and we had to come up with a brand new budget in 1985 to fund that year. And one observation that is very clear, that your big driver of your budget from year to year are personnel costs and pay increases that are given. Any increase that we do this year raises the 2026 budget, the 2027 budget, because those things all roll forward. And there were years when the board said, look, we got to hold this thing down. And at least 3 different years to do that, with board approval, I implemented what was called a QSI, or Quality Service Increase mechanism, that we used in place of giving pay raises. We gave cost of living increases, certainly, but other increases for good performance. And those are important to do. You've got to recognize the people that do the best jobs. But we implemented this thing called a QSI, or Quality Service Increase. And the way that works is that the board first defines, the amount of money that could be allocated for QSIs. And typically those were given in December. and it was the entire award was paid in a single payment. We did it in December because people could really see the whole amount they were getting, and they were getting it in time for Christmas. But the way that works then, none of that cost rolls over into the next year. It's a one-time cost. And Roland, I want to pose to you a question. If you implement the QSI thing, because we'd have to do it for this year, if we implement QSI, do you not think that we can substantially reduce because we can make a reduction to carry forward personnel cost? Please give me your comments on that.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. If we implemented the salary adjustments that we use in the budget, because we do both salary adjustments and QSI, if we were going to have the process just be QSI for the 2026 budget, it would not have an adverse effect as this budget had from previous year salary adjustments. So your assumption is correct, and we could adjust the policy for 2026 in the budget that it would only include QSIs.
Right. And of course, we would have to put QSI in place for 2025 to keep those costs from rolling over into 2026.
That is correct.
But, I think that's something that we need to seriously consider doing. With that, I'm going to recognize.
Chairman, may I just put one point? I know
Yes.
that, when you put out an increased budget of what we put out and lay a budget out like this, I do know when I stated some of the difficult questions that came up at the committee meeting the last week, there were comments made with regards to the restricted operating reserve and the unassigned fund balance. In the unassigned fund balance, it was reported to the committee that there is $7 million in the unassigned fund balance. With that being said, we currently funded this year's budget, last year's budget at $1 million, and we plan to do the 2026 at $1.5 million. And I met with Teresa late last night, and we looked at, with the funds currently there, we could, in essence, take and add another $1.5 million of the unassigned funds to the budget, which would drop the overall increase right in line with population and inflation growth. In addition, the reason I say use the unassigned funds, it's not something that I recommend, but with Mr. Robinson's comments of utilizing the QSI, you wouldn't have that increase following in 2027, and you could use those funds. It would not put things in drastic mode because we'd still have a $3 million available amount in that unassigned fund. And the one thing that you don't want to do is get that too close. If it does get too close, then you could be in a situation where the following person that sits in this chair would have to amend a budget, and I do not recommend amending a budget. With that said, you could take, if dire straits occurred, the board is the only body that can allow dollars to come out of that restricted operating reserve, and this board, if it got tight in 2026, could allow some funds if you had a hurricane or had something unforeseen pop up where you wouldn't be in dire straits and having to amend a budget. So I know, Teresa, I had you put this together of adding another $1.5 million. It would be $3 million, and I think your numbers show 4.94%.
Yes, sir.
And I think population and inflation, if I'm reading this correctly, is 4.86%. That's a difference of 0.08 of 100% of population and inflation growth.
Correct.
Okay. Anyhow, that's all I have to say.
All right, thank you, Roland. Well, I'm going to begin with Director Bluford Daniels, and Kathy, any questions you have or comments, and then as you complete, we'll just move right down the table.
And I appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll yield in case there are questions that may prompt me to further ask more questions, particularly from those that are serving on the Budget Committee.
All right, Thank you very much. Chair recognizes Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you. No questions. Thank you.
All right, Director Ozine Bandy.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Roland. I have some specific questions around some of the factors that were recognized as I guess, opposing forces from the external factors. So staffing, professional services, and technology. I want to ask specifically about those, really double-clicking into, well, let's start with staffing. I was curious as to how are we analyzing our current productivity levels of work output, and then how do we understand that this increase in 24 positions is actually going to meet that need and close that gap as it relates to just the amount of work that we have to do here?
With the budget committee, we had all of the folks that were requesting positions actually come up and show the metrics to show the committee the reasonings for their asking for the increased positions. Yes, we analyzed workload, work productivity, overtime, fatigue, and that's why I mentioned some of those things.
Okay. Thank you, sir. And then really looking at the technology, because I think I mentioned, in previous board meetings that an answer to productivity and efficiency, just in today's landscape across most industries, is not going to be people. It's truly going to be tools to help us be more productive, or some technology to actually take some of those tasks off of our plates. And so I was really trying to understand how much we're actually spending on technology. I see I see the title of computer maintenance and subscriptions, and then I see maybe something along the lines of data access subscriptions and professional training that may inform some of that technology. But I'm curious as to how much are we spending on technology tools to help us automate, to help us with our customer service, just any of those things because they are out there. But I'm just really curious, because we said we could conservatively get a gain of maybe 5.1% was the number with technology. So I'm wondering, how are we allocating resources from the budget to answer that technology piece?
Okay, I'm going to segue this. I know we just had to be out of Casper fly-in for this board meeting. We utilize things called bots, and I know we've used them with fiduciaries. We've used them with other areas. Would you come up here and go into detail with regards to the bots that you've created and how it's increased efficiencies with technology, please?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board.
I don't believe that mic is on.
It is
Or just get closer, yeah.
closer, better?
Get closer to the
Okay.
mic.
Yeah, speak as close to it as you can.
Okay, yes, sir. So yes, we are entering kind of the age of automation at HCAD, and it's not a process that's going to happen overnight. And unfortunately, to train any of the automated systems, we also need people and knowledge experts to participate. So this is one of the challenges, because as we are building these processes, the knowledge experts who help us build them and to train them also have to do their regular jobs. So it requires a balance. But yes, currently in production, we have several, as Mr. Altinger said, bots, pretty much bots that mimic human keystrokes and human data entry. And we're using them for appointment of agent forms, which I believe it's about 170,000+ annually. And we have a success rate on those of about 91% on all of the electronically received ones. We are also using them for AFJs or final judgments rather than doing it manually. We just started that this year. We are also using them for processing protest applications with the same success rate. Now, the board knows we get things electronically, but we still get a lot of things on paper. So we are right now in a process of doing the OCR to also start processing handwritten forms and do all of that automatic data entry. So we do have trends, we do have statistics, we are tracking things, and I'll be happy to present to the board exactly the numbers. Can't remember all of them off the top of my head, but those are some of the efforts. Another effort that we've done is with validating all of our roles. Now, that is, or automating validation of the roles. Now, that was a huge accomplishment, and we are in the process of transitioning. The human interaction is never going to be completely eliminated. It's always going to be there. But rather than have a group of 10 people, validating only a small sample of roles for a whole week, we can run it through this automated process that validates 100% and only gives us a notification when there is something that needs to be looked at. So the automation can look at the data, calculations, are things presented correctly, but it cannot look at the actual, the visual form. So we'll still have to have humans also look at that. Is the margin correct? Did things get shifted? In addition to that, we have also been working very closely with a vendor partner. I think Mr. Altenger mentioned TrueRoll, on automating some of our exemption applications and getting that processed. But again, it doesn't happen overnight. So, I'm very grateful to our exemptions team. Not only did they cut down the time required to process the exemptions, they also have been working very closely with us to develop this tool from the template and to teach it and to refine it to the point where we get a level of comfort that the results given to us are good. What else are we doing? We are also building educational tools. So I'm sure you've all used ChatGPT. We're building Chat HCAD. So it is kind of like ChatGPT, but it's totally, absolutely controlled by us in terms of what content we give it. So this way it will never hallucinate. So rather than looking at the whole tax code for whatever it is you're trying to find, and it takes you a whole day, you just type in a question and it gives you an answer, but it also gives you links directly to the portions in the tax code where it found that answer. So that should expedite our search for information or answers to questions. What else are we doing? What? Oh, yes. So we have tons of, Ms. Melissa, the public speaker, mentioned, about doing some of the electronic programs and opt-ins for our public. We have tons of them. I settle, I protest, and yes, the public can opt in into the electronic programs and electronic delivery of information. And I'm sure there's tons more that we are doing. Yes, so we are also trying to increase our staff's efficiency with human-manned chatbots with the public. So, rather than having to call, wait on a phone for whatever that metrics may be, we are working on deploying the ability of the public being able to, answer a question. It goes to a human agent, and the agent is able to resolve that. We do that a lot doing our remote hearings. We did pilot it with our communications and INA divisions. So we want, whatever we do, we want to make sure that we do it right. So I think we are one of the leading CADs in terms of embracing technology and doing things, but we're doing it slow just to make sure we do it right.
Okay. Thank you very much, Beata. I appreciate that. The attention to, I believe, automation is going to be important, and we are the first. We're obviously a leader in the CAD space, so I'd love to hear about any efficiencies that we can gain because, again, increased costs to labor, to your point, a really big driver of our budgets. If we could allocate money to, and more money and more investment, really, more funds into technology, I think we would reap the benefits. So I'm excited to see the gains. Thank you.
Well, we did find early on at HCAD, in fact, I'll tell one story before I recognize Director Lamont Dixon. In 1985, when we had to come up with that new budget, since bear in mind that the taxing units had vetoed, almost all of them had voted to veto HCAD's proposed 85 budget. And we had to come up with something new. And HCAD had we had probably 700 employees at the time. And a bunch of them were temps. And they even had two categories of temps. They had temporary temps and they had permanent temps. And well, guess what? To fund the budget that the units insisted on, I had to fire 200 temps one day. That's horrible. That's the worst decision I ever made in my life, to have to do that. But it was also the best decision because it enabled us to really move into technology. We were one of the earliest appraisal districts to just dive headfirst into technology. And technology has saved us. It's cost money, yes, but it saved us millions and millions and millions of dollars on personnel costs over the years. I dare say that if we weren't doing the things we do now with technology, we'd have twice as many employees as we currently have to do the job that we have to do. With that, I'll recognize Director Lamont Dixon.
I just have a brief comment. In Budget Committee, we have dug really deep, over time on a lot of the issues regarding the budget. So I just really wanted to take an opportunity to thank each division head who broke down in detail and shared in detail all aspects of your department, how many people, what you need, what the expenditures are, what the requests are. So just wanted to take an opportunity to thank you all because it was a huge undertaking. But I appreciate the information, and that's, essentially why in this moment I don't have any additional questions. So thank you very much.
Right, before we move on down the table, Roland, my request would be that for the Budget and Finance Committee meeting in August, that you bring them the full framework of how the QSI program would work. I know for years we had specific language in the boilerplate of the budget that authorized it, but let's make sure that language is still there and then lay out for the Budget and Finance Committee how the program will be implemented. But bear in mind, for it to work and to affect 2026, we got to put it into play for 2025. So that's my request to you to do that. I'll move now to recognize Director Ramirez.
Thank you. Good morning, Roland. I have a quick question, but first a comment. So our office can relate to staff that is taxed, excessive comp time, overtime, which indicates likely inadequate number of employees, right? We carry an inordinate amount of work, and it's very technical, and it is a critical function that can't fail. And so in regards to that, in the 24 positions, what types of positions are those? And because also I can relate, is they're accounting for making sure that we have proper succession planning, and that we, in those positions or in positions that the CAD already has, are we considering ensuring that we have folks that are ready to take over when folks are considering retirement?
Yes, and I'll go through the specific positions and where they will actually reside in the organization. The first is to replace the 3 that the board commandeered for the TLO, the director, and the 2 administrative folks, so that drops it down to 21. The next area is information and assistance, which has 10. That include phone exemptions and counters for public service for first-class customer service. The communications area has 4, and then 2 go to Department of Legal Services, 2 to Budget and Finance, 2 to Records Management, and 1 to HR. And the committee heard the metrics on all of those last week.
And as regards succession planning and making sure that we do have middle management positions that are preparing.
Yes, and if the board would like, I'm going to look out at Sally. I know we've gone, where's Sally? I know we've got meetings on the level 1, level 2, and level 3. Do you think we could bring the board something next month, or would you want to? We could bring a discussion item to the board. Thank you, Sally.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
All right, we'll move on and recognize Director McCrutchen.
Thank you, Chairman. I do not have any questions at this time.
All right, Erica, thank you. And finally, recognize Director Noriega.
Thank you. I actually just have a couple comments, and it may be that Director Sullivan may think of something to add. The level of detail that we were given was really intense, and in many cases it was one level, and then we asked questions and we dug down again, and it was how long calls take, what's involved with the process. They went into a great deal of detail. You know, it's easy to say I need more people, and it's easy to say you don't need more people, but most of the positions were forward-facing to the public. They were a lot of individual transactions. What ended up being the question that at least I had in each section was, is that enough? And in many cases, they said no, but this is a start, and this will keep our people from jumping off the roof. And the question about technology is well taken, because in many cases, as you go forward, we may be able to modify the need for people as we do that. I think that information would be helpful for any of you that have questions, and maybe share with the public as needed. But I was thoroughly impressed with the output and the work that people did, and you know how much it really took to make all this happen. And no one is going to invite the tax folks home to Thanksgiving, but they work really hard. I think it is very important that the phones get answered and that people respond when we have things like chats, and there was an awareness of that as well. And so I appreciated all the information, and I don't think we're through talking about things like reserves and that kind of thing, but I will tell you the position discussion, I was thoroughly satisfied with the information I had.
All right, thank you. Any further questions or comments? Yes, go ahead.
I just want to say thank you to the Budget Committee for the deep dive with some of the comments and questions and inquiries about the budget. Then it's helped us better understand it. It's not that we don't understand the budget, but they've asked questions that have been so detailed that it's answered most of our questions before we get here for this discussion. So again, kudos to the Budget Committee. Appreciate that. Y'all broke it down into layman's terms that even I could understand. And I know one part, the one small question I had, it's probably, that's why I want to listen in case we had an answer. But on page 9, the budget and you guys probably already discussed this, but in 2025, there was $1 million allocated for elections, correct? And that was for SB2. It was new, so I was just curious why we're allocating another $1 million in 2026, and was all that money used in 2025? Was there any savings anywhere?
Okay.
Let me comment
Or
on
you want
that.
to comment on that?
Basically, the inclusion of the $1 million for 2025 was simply pre-budgeting money for the 2026 countywide election, which it will cost us somewhere close to $2 million, we think. The county clerk can't give us the full cost now, but based on prior experience, it likely will run $2 million. So $1 million was put into the 2025 budget to avoid having to put $2 million, in the 2026.
Okay.
Now the issue, and I mentioned this to Senator Betancourt this morning, that particular tax code provision on election of the 3 public members provides that they run by position number, as you know, and that if a particular candidate doesn't get a majority, then there has to be a runoff. And this is the real problem, because, there's a pretty good chance that somebody's not going to get, when that election is held in November 2026, that we will have paid for, that we're going to have to do an election early in 2027, a runoff election. And there's no question that if we have to do that, there won't be anybody else having an election in January 2027. And that means that good old HCAD has got to pick up 100% of the cost of a countywide election in 2027. And I called that to Paul's attention this morning, and he promised that he is going to look at a legislative solution that would let, instead of a runoff being required, that the winners of the 2026 countywide election be based on who got a plurality for that particular position, which is the way school board elections are done. But we just, we can't be out to dry and having to come up with an additional $2 or $3 million in 2027 to be the only entity doing a runoff in January of that year. So.
And thank you for that. I mean, that explanation. I appreciate that. I'm that person I couldn't wait for Amazon dollar days or specials, because I'm always trying to save some money. So where there's, I had some boxes delivered too. Don't y'all laugh at me. But I'm always that person that's trying to look for opportunities to save, and especially when you can save some money. But it's even more concerning when it looks like, and I'm glad you brought that to Senator Betancourt's attention, because that kind of stood out to me. $1 million, and the projection of such, and the need for such. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. That explanation. I think those were all. Oh, the 24 positions. The are those internal postings, or do they go out to the public? The 24 positions that we talked about, that was the increase in positions.
Yeah, anybody can apply for those jobs.
So I guess I'm trying to understand that if there are internal postings, anybody can apply. So I'm on level 1 or level 3 position. I'm just using that as a base, and I want to move up to a level 5 position that's posted. Then you have to go back and repost level 1 or level 2, whatever position you lost, right?
That's correct.
Okay, but all of that is available. I know it sounds simplistic, but all of that is available to anybody, because you've got so many people here already, and if there's opportunity for them to improve, obviously they're going to do that. So again, we'll still be with having to repost all of those new positions, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions or comments by board members? All right, hearing none, we will now move to the public hearing. The time is now 10:57 a.m. And during today's public hearing on the proposed 2026 budget, members of the public who have signed up to address the board on the topic will be permitted 3 minutes. Then Ms. Garrell will keep track of your time and indicate when your time is about to expire. And I'll recognize first Ms. Alexi Swersey.
What I have to say is in regards to the Harris Central Appraisal District budget. Why does Harris Central Appraisal District have such a large reserve fund? $17 million can be better used serving taxpayers. Everyone is making budget cutbacks, and Harris Central Appraisal District should do its part. The City of Houston, Harris County, and the school districts are having to make hard decisions. The property tax provides more tax dollars for local government services in Texas than other sources. Property taxes help pay for public schools, city streets, county roads, police and fire protection, and other critical services. Many of these entities are having to cut back on important government resources. The state has decreased funds to school districts, including funds for busing. Of course, this has made the school district budgets even tighter. For example, Cy-Fair ISD had to cut back drastically on children being able to take a bus to school, resulting in several children being hit by cars while walking to school this past school year. While specific details on all districts facing deficits are not available, it is clear that a number of school districts in Harris County are grappling with budget challenges, necessitating difficult decisions, and potentially impacting educational resources. Nearly every school district in Harris County is underfunded, according to a recent Kinder Institute study. Aldine ISD is facing a budget deficit and has taken steps to cut back, including closing 6 schools affecting 3,000 students. Katy ISD is grappling with challenges, including a potential $10 million shortfall in its budget for the next school year. Taxpayers are also having to adjust to increased expenses. If Harris County Appraisal District cannot figure out how to cut spending, which would be the best action, they should spend the money they have rather than asking for more. With local government institutions, Harris Central Appraisal District serves having to cut their budget. Harris Central Appraisal District should not be increasing its spending, and if necessary, make use of its $17 million reserve fund. Thank you. And my name is Alexi Swirsky.
Thank you, Ms. Swirsky. Chair next recognizes Ms. Okay, thank you, Ms. Swirsky. Chair next recognizes Melissa Rowell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Board. As I heard with the proposed budget, protests have increased. This has led to heavier workloads, as y'all said, requiring HCAD to the need to hire more staff. A solution could be to approve more protests through iSettle. Approving more protests through iSettle. Reducing in-person protests. The other day, I was looking through my files and I found appraised values, or worksheet I had printed out, from 2004 to 2008. HCAD had increased my appraised values 3 of 4 years by only 2% to 6%. This was in 2004 to 2008. So 3 of 4 years, it was only 2% to 6%. Over the last many years, our appraised values increased by the max, 10% if you have a homestead exemption, and it's even higher with those without the exemption. I think the best solution would be to only raise values by 3, 4, 5%. Protests would reduce significantly, which would mean needing less staff. To me, this solution would increase efficiencies and allow for a reduced budget with no need for more staff. HCAD should not be in the business of tax advisors and protest agencies, which I've heard comprise 82% of the protests, fattening their pocketbooks. I call on Senator Betancourt to pass legislation for a 5% tax cap across the board, whether you have a homestead or not. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Ms. Rowell. Any other questions or comments by board members regarding the budget? If not, that concludes the public hearing, and the time is 11:03 a.m. We'll move now to the consent agenda. We have 4 matters on the consent agenda this month. Item 11A is discussion and possible action to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of June 18th, 2025. 11B is discussion and possible action to approve travel for the board members who plan to attend the International Association of Assessing Officers Annual Conference, September 21st through September 24th, 2025. 11C is receive the district's monthly financial reports. 11D is receive report on payments of bills, payroll, and transfers of funds between line items, and then discussion and possible action, if any, related thereto. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
We have a motion by Ms. Dixon. Do we have a second? Seconded by Ms. Ramirez. Are there any questions by board members or comments? If not, we will call the roll. Say aye if you're in favor. Say nay if you're opposed. Ms. Ozine Bandy?
Aye.
Ms. Bluford Daniels?
Aye.
Ms. Lamont Dixon?
Aye.
Ms. McCrutchen?
Aye.
Ms. Noriega?
Aye.
Ms. Ramirez?
Aye.
Mr. Sullivan?
Aye.
And myself voting aye. The motion carries unanimously. We move now to the action items. Item 12, the first item is discussion and possible action to approve Resolution 2025-06 to consider the establishment of an election services fund. Mr. Altinger, would you elaborate on that, please?
Yes, as Teresa's coming up, this is the $1 million that we set aside, and our auditors don't want it just sitting out there. They want us to restrict it as we should, and Teresa, want to cover this action item?
Morning, Mr. Chairman, board members. With the passage of Senate Bill 2, appraisal districts are mandated to cover the cost of election services for the 3 county citizens serving on the board. The estimated cost as of right now for the 2026 election is $2 million. To smooth out the fluctuation, $1 million was approved in the 2025 budget, and $1 million has been budgeted in the 2026 proposed budget. Our external auditors have advised us that an election service fund be established in order to transfer the $1 million in the 2025 budget into a dedicated fund to be used for future election costs. So I'll be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Do we have a motion to discuss and take possible action to approve item 12?
So moved.
Thank you.
Who made the motion? All right, thank you, Ms. Bluford Daniels. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, second by Ms. Lamont Dixon. All right, any discussion? If not, we will again call the roll. Vote aye if you're in favor, nay if you're opposed. Ms. Ozine Bandy?
Aye.
Ms. Bluford Daniels?
Aye.
Ms. Lamont Dixon?
Aye.
Ms. McCrutchen?
Aye.
Ms. Noriega?
Aye.
Ms. Ramirez?
Aye.
Mr. Scott is absent. Mr. Sullivan?
Aye.
And I, the chairman, votes aye. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, our next item is item 13 is discussion and possible action to review and approve the award of a contract for print and mail services for the appraisal district building at 13013 Northwest Freeway. Mr. Altinger, would you please give us the details of that?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. As you know, most of our printing, or the majority of our printing and mailing services, are done off-site. And Tammy Argenta is going to discuss the bidding process and the scores that we use to put forth for the board to formalize a contract for outside mail services.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the board. I'm here to ask for the discussion and possible action to review and approve the award of a contract for print and mail services for this district. The request for proposal was approved at the April 16th board meeting. The contract is for 1 year with 4 one-year renewal options. Notices were placed in the Daily Court Review and on the Texas Comptroller's website. Emails were sent to 73 registered vendors from the district's Ion Wave bidding system. 5 proposals were received. 2 were disqualified due to missing documents. 3 were considered. 1 meets all of the requirements, including the local needs, which are emergency backup for the HCAD mailroom here at the district office, daily pickup from the district, commingling of mail to save postage, which is approximately $685,000 a year, and printing and storage of envelopes. Questmark Information Management meets all of the requirements, which include a disaster recovery plan and a co-location. The staff recommends Questmark Information Management for the 5-year contract. The annual estimated cost is $625,766, and the funds are available in the 2026 budget in account 5200 for postage, mailing, and handling.
All right, do I have a motion to discuss and take possible action to approve this item?
Second.
Okay, motion it was made by Ms. McCrutchen, seconded by Ms. Ramirez. We will call the roll, vote.
Discussion.
Yes, is there any discussion on that item?
I just did
Rupert Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I had a quick question. I know recently, as some of you may have seen, the Postal Service is asking for an increase in postage. So this budget plan, it predate what's being requested for an increase in postage. And what does the proposal account for that?
So this proposal is for the services in the printing. Our postage account is not, and the expenses of the postage is not included. It's in the budget, but it's not included in these prices.
Okay, but so the services that's being suggested here is not part of individual mail outs. It's for sorting?
No, ma'am. They mail. The services are to print and stuff the envelopes and mail them and commingle. But we have a separate account in the budget for the postage.
I think the easiest way to describe that, and I know Lindsay's out there because I'm the one that caused him to get a little gray earlier in his career as chief appraisers. We used to print everything on site. We had 2 massive printers. We eliminated those, and there was a process where we send a lot of this to the Questmark or to a vendor that then prints it on site. So there's printing cost, there's assemblage cost, and then there's putting it in the envelopes cost, and that's what's included in this portion. If we mail out 500 or 1 million, that postage cost is separate, and it's not included in this bid.
Correct.
Let me just clarify. We do have an account that is called postage, mailing, and handling. In that account, we budget for this mail house contract, all the P.O. boxes, any delivery services, and postage. So this contract is for the mail house and the handling, but they are accounting for that service, and then there's money in that same account that we account for any increases in postage. So we have budgeted for postage increases, ma'am.
Okay, that's what I was getting to.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, just to note, this is basically identical to how Ms. Ramirez handles her mailing of tax statements. And although our alternative would be to hire a bunch of people and buy a bunch of equipment to print all this stuff in-house and have the envelope stuffed in-house, and it's just simply more cost-effective to
Oh, absolutely,
that
absolutely. I
side.
just wanted to know if that increase was incorporated into that as to what's being identified here. But yeah, this is more effective definitely than buying the equipment, because we're talking about budget issues now.
Yes.
Buying that equipment to do such, I mean, we'd have people lined up outside wondering why we're spending so much money, and maybe to apply for a job too. But Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second. There being no further discussion, say aye if you're in favor, nay if you're opposed. We'll call the roll. Ms. Alzine Bandy.
Aye.
Ms. Bluford Daniels.
Aye.
Ms. Lamont Dixon.
Aye.
Ms. McCrutcheon. Ms. Noriega. Ms. Ramirez.
Aye.
Mr. Scott is absent. Mr. Sullivan.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion carries unanimously. Item 14 is discussion and possible action on the purchase of additional servers and one-year VM software licensing and subscription for the district's main data center. This purchase would be made through the Texas DIR Vendors Center Technologies Incorporated and HCAD Systems, respectively, in the total amount of $498,000. Mr. Altinger, would you?
I'm not going to elaborate, but I'm going to defer to Beata Casper on this action item.
All right.
Good morning again, Mr. Chairman and board members. I'm here today to ask the board to review and hopefully approve a purchase of additional hardware and associated licenses to allow the district to expand our servers capacity, but also to allow us to do a better reallocation of resources. As Mr. Chairman mentioned, the purchase would be made from Texas DIR vendors, total amount $498,000. And the reason why we are making this purchase through two different vendors, one's hardware, one's software, and that combination was most cost effective. So the data center is the heart of all of the networking and all of our, information, data operations, and it needs to be maintained and updated. Not only because we're continually growing, we're dealing with more and more data, but also so that we can recycle the older products that may be at the end of life or may not be performing as well anymore. And we take a very proactive approach to planning any type of expansion. We have tools that monitor the performance, reliability, how fast are things responding on 24/7 basis, and they can help us predict what we need to forecast for. So servers in a data center are like the workhorses of the operation. So they handle all the requests from the clients, from the computers, from the laptops. If a user wants to access a file, the server coordinates that, moving data between things, doing all the hard data crunching and data processing, but also providing a level of security for the applications and all the data, processing that we are doing. The last expansion we did was in October of 2021, and with that expansion, we forecasted about 4 years. And with that 4 years being up now, it is time, based on all the matrix and our needs, to request the additional expansion, but like I mentioned, also reallocation of the resources. This purchase includes a 3-year of hardware support and the VMware licensing. It's a 1-year subscription. Because we have other VMware licenses, we would like to work into kind of co-terming everything so that we don't have to deal with multiple contracts. As I've mentioned, that this has been planned. We have anticipated it. And we do have funds budgeted and available in our Information Technology 2025 budget. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, first, do we have a motion to discuss and take possible action on item 14?
So moved.
All right, moved by Ms. Lamont Dixon. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, seconded by Ms. Wilfred Daniels. We'll call the roll, say aye if you're in favor, nay if you're opposed. Well, first, is there any discussion? All right, hearing none. Ms. Ozine Bandy?
Aye.
Ms. Blooper Daniels?
Aye.
Ms. LaVon Dixon?
Aye.
Ms. McCrutcheon? Ms. Noriega? Ms. Ramirez?
Aye.
Mr. Scott is absent. Mr. Sullivan?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move now to the discussion items. Item 15 is a report on protest and hearings, including iFile and iSettle. Mr. Altinger.
Yes, sir. We've got Mr. Jeff Morrison going to give a very detailed report on this. As you know, we're in the summer months. We've had the highest record of protest ever filed in my tenure here at HCAD, which is 37 years and counting. I know that the board is interested in the process of getting under the 10% threshold, and we're not there yet. I think Mr. Morrison will report that we'll get there on 7/31 or August 1st. And right now we have the ARB meeting on the 8th of August and the 22nd of August. And we think we might be prudent in changing one of those dates because we will not be close enough for ARB approval on August 8th. And we're looking at August 15th for the ARB to approve and then the chief appraiser certify subsequently, barring any things that might occur, such as storms that I get reported to by Jim. So give us the good numbers because y'all have done a fantastic job getting to where we're at so far, Mr.
And that
Morrison.
concludes my report. Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Jeff Morrison, Chief of Hearings. As of this morning for tax year 2025, we have received 550,000 protests, which is about 48,000 more than last year at the same time, or roughly a 10% increase. The split on that is 81% from agents and 19% from property owners. Overall, we've been able to settle over 328,000 protests so far, and our electronic settlement programs have proven to be extremely beneficial once again. We've settled 200,000 accounts through Topline, and an additional 51,000 accounts through Express Informals and the iSettle programs. The ARB is better staffed this year, thanks to you guys and Ms. Terry. And that has directly resulted in a production increase from the ARB formal hearings by over 3,000 hearings so far, which has been very, very productive. What this all means is that despite the additional 50,000 protests and the additional $48 billion in value under protest, we are on pace to timely certify the roll and substantially complete hearings with no delays. I just want to recognize the effort that everyone has given to put us in this position. Like Mr. Altinger said, we are looking to request moving one of the ARB dates to the middle of August, and that'll put us right in line, same time as last year for record approval. And I just think that will get us closer to that 95% that we're typically looking for. We're currently scheduling out for the week of August 4th, and this weekend we will conduct our 4th Saturday of hearings as well. Just to stay current, we will continue to designate a day or two each month to work exemption accounts or exemption protests and correction protests. And I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Right. Do we have any questions or comments for Jeff? All right.
Thank you.
Hearing and seeing none, thank you very much. And you and your staff are doing a really great job this year. Our next report is the item 16, the Taxpayer Liaison Officer, and we'll recognize Ms. Terry.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and good morning to you and to the other directors. I'm pleased to report to you on the activity of the Office of Taxpayer Liaison. Rising tide lifts all ships. And when the rise in protests occurs, the rise in contacts to my office also increase.
That's right.
They're not all complaints. I'd like to state that. Sometimes it's just general inquiries, and as we have increased in those methods that we use to expedite the protest process and the resolution of protests, we even start to get contacts in regard to those issues. This year, for the first time, I've gotten recommendations, not so much complaints, but inquiries about how soon is my iSettle offer going to come. haven't gotten that in the past. But we've gotten the volume of people participating in the iSettle option has increased. So now the demand for the process to be more efficient, at least in their eyes, has increased. So we are dealing with that. Also, issues associated with arbitration, okay? In the past, we got maybe 1 or 2 a year, and we've gotten several of those already this year. Fortunately, I'm able to reach out to Adam and his staff, and they assist me in that area. Sometimes it's just the people wanting to know what the process is like, how to go about it, et cetera. I'd also like to point out that on the iSettle, we're getting comments to the TLO about what the iSettle offer was. And my answer to them is, if you're unhappy with the iSettle offer, you still have the ability to go before the Appraisal Review Board. So I try not to get in between the iSettle offer or to critique the iSettle offer. That's for another. The iSettle is simply a mechanism that we use to facilitate the process, and we don't want to get too granular in how that works. That would frustrate the protests, because all protests are protests for the Appraisal Review Board. So I just wanted to point that out to you. There are about 3 or 4 contacts that I got that were associated with the review board hearings. We're still working on those. They were not complete as of print time, and I'll have a report on those in my next report next month.
Right. Are there any questions for Ms. Terry? Ms. Ramirez.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As you know, we get your phone calls and you receive our phone calls.
Yes.
So I just, as I reviewed all of the different items in your report, when you refer a taxpayer to our office, is there a way you could notify me so that I know and I can reach out, or have my staff reach out to that individual to make sure they don't fall through the cracks?
Okay, I could certainly do that. The most frequent one, the one in this report was not, but there was one in regard to a refund, I believe it was. And but we can do that, and if you give me a contact person, I can either contact you directly, or I can use the person.
It would be me. Thank you.
You're it. Okay.
Thank you, Teresa.
That concludes my report, if there are no further questions.
Thank you very much. Item 17 is the report from the Appraisal Review Board, and who is here to make that report today?
Good morning. I am James Gorin. I'm representing the ARB office. I will read the report today. During the month of June, the ARB conducted a total of 24,331 formal hearings with 590 panels in 22 workdays. The year-to-date formal hearings through June 30th consist of the following quantities: commercial, 4,630, residential, 19,641, other is 60, total 2025 year-to-date is 24,331. Prior years is 3,218. The number of required ARB members is below the count of 190. As of June 30th, 2025, ARB had a total of 160 members. The Executive Office, we continue to address requests for set-aside dismissals, requests to reschedule hearing dates due to scheduling conflicts, and mentorship for the ARB members. Our legal counsel continues to review all written complaints that come into the ARB for any reason. Mr. Hilscher also assists us with our monthly legal reviews that are submitted by the ARB panel members for review. This completes the reading of the ARB report. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone have questions for the ARB? All right, hearing none, we will move to item 18, which is a discussion of matters between members of the board and chief appraiser subject to tax code section 6.15. Does anyone on the board wish to make any comments or raise questions there?
One quick comment. Thank you for getting us up on live stream today. That's it. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? All right. Hearing none. All right, Ms. Noriega.
I just wanted to make a quick comment about an earlier item. I wasn't fast enough on my feet, sorry. When we were talking about the mailings and the postage and how many things go out, I'd just like to remind everyone that not everybody has a computer or even a smartphone. Most people have a phone these days in their pocket, but sometimes it's not, it isn't full capacity. And we make every attempt to make sure every single property owner gets something that they understand about their taxes. And yes, it's very important. It's everybody. And so there's a lot of mail involved. As we go forward with technology and people opt in to go ahead and have it done electronically, this will ease some of it, but it'll never take it all the way away because there always are going to be folks that get something in the mail. And it's just harder than it looks, maybe. And I just wanted to say that it's very important that everybody, including seniors who don't have the capacity, get their mail.
Well, that's an excellent point, and I appreciate you making it. We'll move now to item 19, which is the executive session. The board will now enter executive session, which is held for the purpose of sections 551.071, 072, 074, and 076 of the Texas Government Code. The time is now 11:29, and the board will retire to executive session. The live feed will pause during executive session and then resume when we return into public session. Roland, we need a signal when we are live again on television.
You got a thumbs up right now.
Okay, we have gone live. We are back in public session at 12:30 p.m. We still have a quorum present, and we will proceed with item 20, which is discussion and possible action to approve the press release posting a job description to fill the chief appraiser position for the Harris Central Appraisal District. And I recognize Ms. McCutcheon for that presentation.
Yes, the board the committee has submitted to the board the Harris Central Appraisal District news release that should go out as soon as possible, along with the information of application and qualifications for the chief appraiser position, with a closing date of August 31st. So this, I think that's all the information that I have. The job description also will be listed as well, and made public on the Harris Central Appraisal District Board, as well as some other auditories. And also the board would like the board to approve, yes, the chief positions and the duties and responsibility of the Harris Central Appraisal District chief appraiser.
Can that serve as a motion?
Yes, we need a motion.
So moved.
All right. Before we vote on that, Tammy, if you would make sure that all the documents, all three of them, are updated to include that requirement that the person selected within 12 months must complete the Chief Appraiser Institute. I think we found we left it off accidentally in at least one of them. So if you'd, make sure that all of them are the same. Okay, any further discussion on this? All right, we have a motion and a second, and there being no further discussion, vote aye if you're in favor, vote nay if you're opposed. Ms. Ozine Bandy?
Aye.
Ms. Bluford Daniels?
Aye.
Ms. Lamont Dixon?
Aye.
Ms. McCrutcheon?
Aye.
Ms. Noriega? Aye. Ms. Ramirez?
Aye.
Mr. Scott is absent. Mr. Sullivan has stepped out of the room. The chair votes aye. Motion carries unanimously. We move to item 21, which is to consider and approve settlement of pending litigation, pending appeals to the State Office of Administrative Hearings, and pending arbitrations. Do we have a motion to approve these proposed settlements?
So moved.
All right, moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Bluford Daniels, seconded by Ms. Lamont Dixon, to approve item 21. We'll call the roll. Ms. Ozine Bandy?
Aye.
Ms. Bluford Daniels?
Aye.
Ms. Lamont Dixon?
Aye.
Ms. McCrutcheon?
Aye.
Ms. Noriega? Aye. Ms. Ramirez?
Aye.
Mr. Scott is absent. Mr. Sullivan has stepped away. The chair votes aye. Motion carries unanimously. Item 22 is consideration of appeals under Chapter 42.02 Tax Code. Roland, do we have any?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman.
All right, there are none. We move next to item 23, the report on corrections under Section 2525B.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Members, we have the report for all the corrections done under 2525B. This is just here for your inspection if you ask. If not, there is no motion required, but just to make the report available.
All right, thank you. Well, we've had a lengthy but very productive meeting, and we appreciate members of the public who joined in and watched online. I am just very proud that we've been able to add this mechanism to help the citizens of Harris County better understand the job that the appraisal district does and the importance of that work. There being no further business, we stand adjourned at 12:34 p.m.